bring 2 Claymore kicks at the hands of Drew. Oh
my God, McIntyre still here. McIntyre assaulting Orton.
Drew McIntyre has been hunting Randy Orton all night.
Oh, look at this. Look at this. It feels like it.
Looks like I'm in the club too. What's going on, YouTube? It's Sensei, a place to be children. I'm staying back with some more WWE Raw review from September 7th, 2020. And a lot of things happened on this Raw, but the theme of this Raw seemed to be, that slow burn to acceleration kind of thing like that. Like, I like the chapters that we were getting to in the storylines, and for some reason they had to just rush like midway through the book. And I'll explain to you what I mean in that. Because as we start off, Randy Orton comes out there and says, "Look, I already gave Drew McIntyre a hairline fracture." Okay, so it took 3 punt kicks, which was a devastating punt kick that took out all these legends with just 1 kick, and took Drew McIntyre out with 3. Honestly, they're trying to make him look strong, but it's making it look big. Because first they said it had like brain damage. Not brain damage. It was something like a skull fracture type thing. And then they say it's a hairline jaw fracture that Drew McIntyre has. And then Randy Orton said, well, it should just be that he should just forfeit the belt over to me. Well, Drew McIntyre ain't having that, okay? And then also you hear this ambulance come, and say it could be, holler if you hear me. But Drew McIntyre comes out, and he comes out, says no words, gets right in the ring, Randy Orton. Claymore kick, that's number 1. And then he just stares him down, beats him down, and then they were saying, look, man, you're not cleared to be here, you got to leave. And Drew McIntyre leaves, so we think. 6-man tag team matchup is up next with Apollo, with Ricochet and Cedric Alexander taking on the Hurt Business. And before the match even starts, the Hurt Business beats down Cedric Alexander again. And during the matchup, we really don't get a matchup as Cedric pulls Ricochet down off the mat, throws him into the barricade, and it gives a lumbar check to Apollo Crews. And then we get the spear by Bobby Lashley, and the Hurt Business beat the team of Apollo, Ricochet, Cedric Alexander, and Cedric Alexander has seemed to have joined the Hurt Business. And I was like, well, we had seen it coming. Cedric Alexander finally gets a heel turn, finally gets personality. I seen it coming because I was like, MVP does better just being the voice of it, and you can have the other guys go in there and be, more the wrestlers. But I mean, MVP's still gonna wrestle for the next couple of years anyway. So I think it was still cool to do that. So having Cedric now, because this was a slow burn up until this point, and now we're finally getting Cedric part of the Hurt Business. What I would love to see for the Hurt Business is to get 1 woman in the Hurt Business. 1 woman in the Hurt Business. Because these stables are all these men all the time like that, but it would be a cool dynamic to have 1 woman in that stable. The Street Profits are up next to take on a team of Angel Garza and Andrade, and we can tell Angel Garza comes out first, and Andrade kind of walks past with Selena Vega. They're not communicating on right terms, and throughout the middle of the match, Angel Garza leaves Andrade to the Street Profits, and then Montez Ford hits a frog splash, and the referee counts 1, 2, and I did it wrong. Angle gets up to count 3, and I'm like, okay. That was kind of weird. So after that is done, we get Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro coming out and making a challenge to the Raw Tag Team Champions for next week to have a champion versus champion matchup. And I mean, that would be a great matchup with all these 4 guys involved, and I would love to see it because, Michael Cole, Survivor Series is coming early with the brand versus brand, so it looks like we're going to do that again. And I'm like, oh God, because they never played no favorites to SmackDown or anything like that. So, but I mean, even though Raw was a loss last year, SmackDown won only because Reigns is on there. But so that's neither here or there. The problem that we see that this match is happening is because there's no tag teams anymore. There really is no tag teams left on Raw and on SmackDown. Vince don't like them. He keep breaking them up. So it's like you got these 2 champions to go up against what? No teams? That's basically what's happening here. R-Truth is backstage at a restaurant ordering some dessert, and then a ninja pops up, and then Kirisawa tries to get his 24/7 championship back. R-Truth says some couple funny lines and then bounces out of there. Then we get the first match of Peyton Royce taking on Billy Kay, the breakup of the Iconics. I know people don't care about the Iconics. I was a fan of the Iconics. I'm a fan of the tag team, because if you're going to have women's tag team champions, you need tag teams. But Peyton Royce is clearly the better the better one out the Iconics, not Billie Kay. I'm sorry. So obviously Vince sees something Peyton Royce said he wants to push her. Then they took out the songs. I don't like any of their songs, to be honest with you. So Peyton Royce comes out, Billie Kay comes out. Quick matchup. Peyton Royce wins, and then after the match, she gives Billie Kay a hug, showing that we're still best friends today, but we're going to do our own journey. So you can actually put one on Raw, one on SmackDown, and have them be individuals and stuff like that. But if you're going to do all that with these women, you might as well take the Tag Team Championships out the way, because there's only like 3 women's tag teams right now, to be honest with you. So it's not that much. So the Mysterio family's all there. Rey Mysterio, his daughter, his wife, and Dominic there, and they're about to go out to the ring, and Dominic has a match with Murphy later on tonight, because Seth Rollins disowned Murphy. He's no longer the disciple, but he tells him to dig deeper on Twitter. So obviously Seth Rollins is going to attend to Becky Lynch, and when they're out there, he does not know the timetable when he's going to be back, but Dominic is going to be, I'm here to support him. And then Buddy Murphy comes up and says, "You are the reason why my Messiah left me, and it's the whole Mysterious family's fault. So tonight, I'm challenging Dominic to a street fight." So I guess he tried to, do the same thing he did at SummerSlam, with Seth Rollins and Dominic. And Dominic accepts. So later on tonight, it's going to be a street fight. Asuka and Mickie James are going to have a women's championship match next week, but this week they're going to have to team up together to take on the team of Natalya and Lana. Seriously, so throughout the whole matchup, there have been blind tags between Mickie James and Asuka, just basically so that they can show off to each other. And then Mickey's going on top to do her like diving Luther's press, but then Asuka comes in and then makes Lana tap out to the Asuka lock, and then so it builds a little tension there. So this should be a good match leading into next week. We're about to get into the VIP lounge here, and they introduced the newest member of the Hurt Business, Cedric Alexander. And Shelton Benjamin comes, as everybody leaves, he says, "Look, I'm glad you came to your sentence, or did you really? Because if anybody's going to find out, it's going to be me. And if I do find out that you're trying to double cross us, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to hurt you. And we're going to hurt you really bad." And then so Cedric like, no, he's in. So we go to the VIP lounge. Cedric Alexander comes out there and he lets everybody know why he joined the Hurt Business. He's tired of being, the one on the other end of the beatdown. He said, "I'm here to learn and I'm here to earn." So I enjoyed that line from Cedric Alexander. And I'm tired of being the shadow of the one and only. And then, as you were saying, the Viking Raiders come out. As the Viking Raiders come out, and then Ricochet and Apollo Crews come out, and they just start all having a beat down. So now we into an impromptu 8-man tag team match player, which is a formula that WWE does not need to follow when it comes to AEW. You do not need an 8-man tag team match every single show. So they 8-man tag team matchup here. They'll say Ricochet and Cedric Alexander really have a great exchange here, and they know how to play with each other. Like this, Ricochet and Cedric Alexander could be on par with the rivalry of Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins when Seth Rollins left the Shield. Because the passion and the way Ricochet was fighting Cedric Alexander, you can see how upset he was. Like, my brother turned on me type of thing like that. And you can really build this thing up and have it be that they can have a good series of matches, dead serious. So there's a whole pop on the outside. Cedric Alexander and Ricochet, the only ones left in the ring. Ivar goes for a dive through the ropes. As soon as he lands, he's putting up the X. Okay, now he's really hurt. Now that's a sign for somebody that's really hurt. So nobody was left moving. Cedric Alexander goes for a Michinoku driver, and kind of Ricochet slips out his hands because the momentum's going so fast. But he tucks his head and he covers him. The referee counts 3, but Ricochet clearly kicks out because the referee's like, "No, he's really injured. We got to take this home." So it was like a botch ending at the end of that. And this is my issue with the whole thing. I love Cedric joining the Hurt Business. I love the whole Hurt Business storyline that's been going on in WWE during the pandemic era. But it's like, this is what I mean by you did the next chapter, and the VIP lounge with this match should have happened all next week. But they rushed it all this week. And they didn't need to do that. Because you could do the VIP lounge, and then you could have had them all tag, and then we had the 8-man tag team matchup then. And then because Ricochet and Cedric Alexander need to go one-on-one with each other. I hope it is not a simple blow-off type thing. Because the Hurt Business has been a big feature prominent in the show of Raw. So that's what I mean by it just went from the next chapter and just speeded right almost into the middle of the book to the point where it's just like, okay, so now what do you do for next week? Do you blow off the Ricochet Cedric Alexander match 1-on-1 next week? You know what I'm saying? Do you have Apollo taking on Cedric Alexander next week? Like he gonna have to have some single matches, some wins under his belt to, you know, to show the new persona of Cedric Alexander, and not just on main event. So once again, let's keep the theme going on, because now we have Randy Orton versus Keith Lee again. Why do we need Keith Lee versus Randy Orton again? We already beat him at Clash of Champions, and I'm like, because you know that you're not going to have Keith Lee lose right now, and then it's like, but you really had Randy Orton lose because the match is coming up with him and Drew McIntyre. So this matchup is a little bit longer than obviously they won at Payback. The best takeaway is the way Lee reversed the RKO. He put his hands on his knees and just prevent, like, his power just prevented Randy Orton from doing the RKO. But in the middle, after Randy hits the RKO on Keith Lee, then Drew McIntyre comes out of nowhere and hits him with a Claymore kick. So that's number 2. I see where the theme was going. He got 3 punt kicks. He's getting 3 Claymore kicks tonight. So whatever the third one is. So, and Randy Orton was teasing, like, he was like, I can't wrestle because of, you know, the hurt from the Claymore kick. But Drew McIntyre stares him down the ring and then eases his way out the ring and goes to the back. So that's how that turns out. Okay, now the next thing is confusing as well, because we got a Raw Underground match between Kevin Owens and Aleister Black. Aleister Black is already in the Raw Underground waiting for Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens gets there to say some sly stuff to Shane McMahon, and then he gets in there, and then they just start brawling, and like to the point that they go to the ring, outside the ring, and they go show the brag toss. We go to commercial, then we come back and get a series of handicap matches. We got Shayna Baszler taking on the Riot Squad here, and Nia Jax out there taunting her and what they can do, and then Shayna Baszler is just like, well, I'm gonna do your Samoan drop, and then but Liv Morgan rolls her up, and then Shayna Baszler loses the match. So then now we're about to go into Nia Jax taking on the Riot Squad. But we go back to Raw Underground, see Kevin Owens and Aleister Black are still fighting, and then he gets tossed. Aleister Black gets tossed into some equipment on the outside, and Kevin Owens is still fighting. Blah 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 blah. And then now we go back to the handicap match of Nia Jax versus the Riot Squad, and as Nia Jax is about to drop Liv Morgan, all of a sudden the lights go out, just kind of like how Zod took over every piece of technology on Earth in Man of Steel to make their message. So Retribution, who's brand exclusive, by the way, who just made a message saying that, hey, we are here. Clearly, the guy that was talking was Dominik Dijakovic. I'm just like, if I don't know who anybody else is, it's Dominik Dijakovic. And you know how they've been mistreated, and they, you know, they just gotta pay. First of all, I'm like right now, I'm done with Retribution. I'm done. People say it's dying slow death. People may still have interest in it. I don't. Once they're brand exclusive now. Once, you know, they were like mindless kids, and now they look like an adult stable. Now, I don't care. It's another stable. It really is just another WWE stable that was not done right, because it had something creative at the beginning, and it has nothing creative no more, to the point where now, you know, Michael Cole, Tom Phillips and Samoa Joe and Byron Saxton are just going on to the next topic of the day, or the next story going on with that. Back to Raw Underground, so they're going back there. Kevin Owens and Aleister Black are still fighting, and then they fall outside, and then Babatunde, or his name had kind of changed, now gets mad that he got bumped, so he takes down Kevin Owens, he choke slams Aleister Black, and you know he takes both of them out. So I'm like, well, that's the end of Raw Underground right there, and that's what I'm talking about right there. There was a slow builder that you could have did with Kevin Owens and Aleister Black, and after Aleister Black is healed, it was like, this is the next chapter. But now you want to just fast forward all these chapters to bring in Babatunde, which is going to sidetrack you from the thing that's going on with Aleister Black. Like, why does that even need to be a thing? You know, like I understand the attention span with the younger audience is like this, but to the point, like, you don't have to rush all these storylines while on Raw to hope people watch. People will watch the product more if you take your time to tell stories and leave a cliffhanger in each story as you move on in the weeks. Like, come on, that's common sense stuff. Randy Orton is about to leave, and he's back in the backstage of the arena where he sees another ring. And then Drew McIntyre comes out and attacks him out of nowhere, takes his head and rams up against the ring post, throws him into the ring, and sets him up for a third Claymore kick. And he wants Randy Orton to have nightmares about Drew McIntyre. So that's his third kick for Randy Orton. So obviously that's what it's going to be. So you build more up to the story. But once again, I don't like to play on the hairline fracture. You could just say you could do anything else, the hairline fracture or the fractured skull. That's just I'm like, okay, that's just WWE storytelling right there, because they want you to really be behind Drew and show how powerful and how much grit and how much things he does with that. He comes through all that, but to the point is it makes it kind of look kind of silly and stupid. It takes the realism out of it. Main event time. It's a street fight. The whole Mysterio family comes out with kendo sticks looking like the Union, and we about to have a street fight with Murphy. Murphy comes out, and then him and Dominic go at it. They do to the point Dominic has a jump off one of the LED boards that's holding the Thunderdome audience, and jumps right there on Murphy. Murphy slams Dominic's head onto the ramp. There's a table that's on the outside by the announcer's table that's leaning up on the announcer's table, and they go back into the ring. It looks like Murphy tries to hang up Dominic in the ropes, but then Mysterio takes his candlestick away, and then Dominic kicks Murphy, and then Murphy's on the outside. Dominic does his dad belly slide underneath the bottom rope, sunset flip to Murphy through the table. It looked great. Dominic looked great doing it, and I was surprised he could do that, because that move, what Mysterio does, is meant for a smaller guy. And Dominic is clearly taller than his dad, and for him to pull that off and to do that, I thought that was great. So Murphy's now out. He goes back in there, and then he ties him up. He gives his dad a candlestick, and the same thing that they did to Dominic, Seth Rollins and Murphy, they did to Murphy with Mysterio and Dominic, and then Mysterio's in the camera talking to Rollins like, man, I hope you watching this, Rollins, while we beat down your disciple. To the point that he calls his wife and his daughter in there, and they all hitting up Murphy. Murphy quits. He taps out like, I'm done. So Dominic wins the matchup, and then afterwards they take Murphy comes out the ropes, and then the Mysterio family is wailing on Murphy. I mean, like, they're taking the candlesticks and they just they is beating his ass right now, and it's a great visual. And that was the end of Raw. But here's the thing, though. With that being said, with some elements I liked about Raw, there's two elements I liked. The Mysterio fan beating down Murphy, Cedric doing the Hurt Business. But then they had some little minor things, but everything was so sped up for no apparent reason. I'm done with Retribution. The show doesn't get a pass from me this week. It doesn't. I enjoyed the Cedric thing, but once again, you let it slow burn, and once he got here, you want to turn the fire up. Like, slow it still, let it play out. All that stuff with the 8-man tag did not need to happen tonight. The same thing, Randy Orton need to go against Keith Lee tonight. You could find somebody else for Keith Lee to go up against, and then you could have had, another way to do the Claymore Kicks City when it comes to Drew McIntyre. And same goes for Aleister Black and Kevin Owens. Baba didn't even need to be nowhere near there, and everything else just felt dead on the show. But you know what? Post that comments down below. How do you guys enjoy Raw? Hit the like button if you guys enjoyed my reaction. The subscribe button for more WWE content right here on Nerd Coalition. Once again, this is NC Place to Be. Mr. Indy, and Nerd Coalition is out. I'm in.